right, so today I'm sitting here with Muhammed Salim. He's an amazing design leader at Deel, and I'm excited to hear about your journey, how you become a designer.
Oh, well, all started if I go back to my family. So I grew up in a very creative household. My dad, as he was a business trader by trade, like that's the work he used to do, but also in his free time, he would start painting, crafting, doing things. I loved that as a child growing into it. But I always had this part of me where I was drawn into complexity. So if he buy me toys, I would just break them into pieces and make something new. It makes no sense. And he'd be like, why did you break it? And I was like, oh, did you see this? Like, I can make this. As growing up, I finished my university in Hertfordshire, and I did my interactive multimedia course there. As it was exciting, I was blessed with amazing professors. So as the university finished, I got into the path of trying to find a job. So at the time, product design was not in the industry as much. So searching for a job or trying to get into the media part, I started as a graphic designer, where you have to do all the print, the pages, the gutters, and the design. It was quite cool at the time, but it wasn't fulfilling. So as the industry was growing, there was the role of website design came in. So I took that role where you had to actually start coding, building websites, and then moved from there to Addersley in London. And that's when I met truly fantastic people to work with, an amazing team where we split the way of working from the driver side app all the way to the passenger side app. We had a design in each area, and then we had working with international teams as well to bring everything together. In that space, we delivered, like one of the key highlights that I remember working on was the driver tip. So we spent all the research and we spend about 2 weeks researching, understanding everything that we needed to do in order to increase the happiness, but yet retention. So we did that, and a day before the release, I remember this very clearly. I worked with the PM I used to work with. We caught the Uber app, and he was like, "Oh, Mohammed, just brace yourself. There's something I want to show you." I was like, "What is it?" He's like, "Let's just get on the bus." We go on the bus, and then we catch Uber after that. And then as we finished the journey, he showed me the tip feature that Uber actually released a day before our release day. And I swear it was identical to the level. So I was like, in a way, angry, but maybe annoyed, but at the same time, because I wanted to be the first. Like, I wanted the work we did with my team to be the first release from that perspective. But a small team manager at the time to design something that almost identical to what Uber released of their size of the team. So we were proud. So we went and celebrated and enjoyed that sort of win. As the company grew at the time, it got acquired. We got to the point where we felt it's time to move on. I, at the time, moved to BT. So BT was quite nice company to work for. It's an enterprise, large, huge actually. The design team was quite really great people to work with, but they moved really slowly. So their sprint was almost 9 months at the time. Usually when you join like a large enterprise, potentially they still try to learn who you are, what's the skills you've got, can we trust you to give you this, etc. So they gave me the back admin office to work on. So I looked at the work or the requirements, but also they gave me the solution. So they asked me, how long do you need? And I said, let's just say 2 weeks. But they already gave you the solution. So I took that and did my proper way. So I researched, got everything I needed, and designed a proper solution. And I designed what they needed or expected to see. So during the time when I presented the work to them, there was like about 18 stakeholders sitting in front of you, and everyone will have equal power to what they can shape. So it was almost difficult to actually navigate through to get the design decision made very quickly. So I presented the work they wanted to see, but also showed them the new one. So they got excited about the new one, and they sent me all the way to Belfast, where the head of the operation at the time was based there. So to present this work to them and see how will that work. I went there to Belfast and presented the work. In the first 15 minutes, I can see the room, all of them just protective, and they're all very much like, oh, not happy to see the design. And I'm like, what's going on? So I just asked, so what's not good about it? They said, we can see it being applied in 100 years' time. We've been here for like 30 years. work in this company, and I don't think this will move. So I wasn't quite happy. So I closed my laptop straight away and left the room, which caused a bit of noise at the time. I don't know, maybe I was younger and a bit with temper at the time. So I left quickly, and they're like, Mohammed, you left the room. There's like the head, etc. I was like, well, he said it will take 100 years to build, so why am I wasting my time? So I left and went back to the office in London, and I remember my manager called me. He's like, Mohammed, I've heard your name going around. What's going on? So I presented the problem to him, and he's like, oh, I see. It makes sense. How about we move your team? So you go from the admin all the way to BT TV. So that was like quite prestigious. So during that time, my colleague, the person I worked with in Additionally, he was already in Revolut. So he messaged me to say, by the way, Mohammed, there's an opportunity. Would you like to join Revolut? At the time, I didn't know what Revolut is. And I'm like, I'm not sure. Can I see the product?
How many people were there at that time?
I would say 100, a few hundreds. I was like, sure, let's just see the product. But I've got this new product I'm working on, which is really exciting. He's like, let's just have a meeting. So I went, had coffee, he showed me the product. I got excited. And I was like, so what's required? And he said, you need to design the entire analytics screen. I'm like, is that the home task that you need to do? It's like, yeah, but I see you asked me to like design the entire product. So I took that and I was working on it. So I designed the journeys, the frameworks, what actually could be, but also the wireframes. And it was all just wireframes into prototypes. I got that, but then during that time, BT offered me to work in one of these NDA projects that I signed for, and it was super exciting. So I called my mate and I said to him, look, I'm not taking this anymore. So like, here's everything I've designed for Revolut. You can take it, and I'll just continue where I am. So he took it and went to the CEO, Nick, and he presented the work. And he said, look, this is what Mohammed designed. I want him to be in my team. Nick looked at it based on what I've heard. He was like, I can see the potential. It's a good one. Just get him in. So my mate called me and he's like, don't effing say no. You got through without an interview. You can just start working in Revolut straight away. I was like, what about the offer? What about the details? He's like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Just come in. I resigned from BT and I joined Revolut at the time. So I remember my first day, there wasn't any onboarding. I met Nick. He was like, oh, I'm looking forward to see the great design. I was like, cool, we'll see it. So went and the first project was in the first day, how do we help customers who were being locked away? If someone received money more than their threshold, like how did you verify that source of fund? So there wasn't a tool to do that. So what happens back then, people get locked out completely. And you can see people back in Twitter, when it used to be called Twitter, complaining, where's my money? Like my account was locked in, etc. So we had to design something quickly. So I joined to work in payments, but then first day was pivoted to actually go into the FinCrime and design a tool or a way to be able to do that. So we created the design quickly, and it was implemented quite fast actually. So that was impressive for me to see a true speed back then. So we had this idea where we wanted to actually make payments social. I remember presenting that first time, and I see the engineers and people going like, Mohammed, we're planning to be a bank. Like, why do you add these things into it? Like, having GIFs, having stuff like that. So I was like, then people remember through memories. Like, let's try to do this to be able to see how can emotionally people who use the product remember Revolut in a longer period of time. So that's the hypothesis back then. So we did the GIF. So the ratio back then was out of 10, 4 who didn't send GIF, 6 who did. So in the longer period of time, the 6 who did actually stayed in Revolut. So that worked amazingly well, which helped payment to be quite successful. And then shaped the direction and influenced how we actually see it. Back then, Revolut was very much the travel app, cash card. So if I'm going to travel, I need to put some money. People add money into their Revolut account, travel because they get better exchange rate, etc., and so on. Or I'm going out with my mates. Let's do a split bill, etc. All of these features we built in one place. But as the time progressed, the market shifted. The CEO came and tasked us all. The direction of the business changed now. We're no longer the travel app or the cash card app. We want to be the super app. And it set competition internally. So best design wins. So every team design me the super app and show it to me. That was, in my opinion, back then, one of the best experiences because it either makes you or breaks.
At this point of time, there was very steep competition with Monzo, right?
Yes.
Um, I remember both apps coming out more or less the same time as a user, and they're coming with a feature. You're coming with a feature. It was probably something that you talked about. And in addition to that, you're mentioning there was this another layer of internal competition. How do we build a super app? How do we expand to all those additional verticals, products? What was that like?
So the external competitions was very much around value driven to customers. How fast can we deliver this where the customer can get the value and actually use it with ease? If you ask me, one thing Revolut did great back then is, or one lesson, I would say, how do we make everything we do without any friction? Can we remove any friction on the way to be able to actually make it smooth, fast, easier to achieve? And I feel like Monzo was great. Like, it's a great company, and from a design perspective, from the culture perspective, from like the angles, it was a good competition to have.
The culture in Monzo and the culture in Revolut are probably starkly different, right? And both the companies are really, really successful. What do you think was the key things that made Revolut jump beyond any other competition? Because if we look now at valuations, etc., I think it's pretty obvious. Revolut is the most successful startup in Europe. Period.
It is. I wouldn't know much about Monzo's culture and details, but what makes, in my opinion, Revolut successful is the mindset of, if you want to do it today. But also the grit, which I feel like is quite important, to actually be better than anyone. Having that level of like, I want to push harder. So, or what I've done is great, but it's not as great as I wish it to be. So you can see people working really hard to achieve that level of excellence. And
let's dive into it. What is working really hard?
I'll just use my own example, like how we worked with my team. So when, let's just say we'll start the day, 7:30, 8 in the morning. So that's when roughly we arrive around the office. You can see already a handful of people, almost 10 to 15, already starting. People would leave the office around, let's just say my team will finish work around 6, 7, 8. We'll have lunch, dinner together, work, discuss the ideas. And then if we believe actually we can execute it now, and if everyone available to do it, we sit together and actually work, sometimes to midnight, and then just catch the cab and go back home and then start again. So my point being is, like, there's that level of burning desire to achieve and be the best you can be. No one tells you to that. Like, the business will not come and say you have to work these hours. It's just very much a decision everyone made autonomously to say, I want to be the best. So what it takes to be, let's do it. Like, I remember this example when we designed the first payment screen where we allow customers to be able to actually search, and then you can find anyone in Revolut. And then if you know that person, you can actually request or send money, etc., globally. So that was just an idea, came within less than a week. Did the design, shared it to, or presented it to Nick at the time. He was happy with it. We started executing. I remember going back home. It was almost 10 p.m. and we just finished every plan. And then I see the message from the developer messaging me privately saying, Mohammed, I've got the first build as a test. Would you like to see it? That moment, I'm like, wow, like, this is so cool. And I just went, downloaded it quickly, tested the product, and it was all good. And the next morning, we just released it to customers.
So you're in Revolut. It's a rocket ship. It all goes up like crazy, up and to the right, like any VC or any CEO would dream of. The company is growing rapidly. Why do you leave to Deel?
Very good question. So I'm laughing because it's a good question. So both are great companies. I love Revolut and I love Deel, truly. And I was still close. Like, I still speak to some designers who works there and so on. But it's down to my own goal. So when I joined Revolut, my goal was to build that sort of social fintech app to be able to actually shift that direction. It wasn't there, and we managed to successfully do it. So we did that from a payment point of view. I moved to card, did the personalization in card, shopping card, etc. Plugins into like to make shopping seamlessly, like removing that friction again, going back to that point. So we did all of that, but I felt I'm getting to a point where I wanted to build the best design team in the world. And in Revolut, yes, it's a great company, but there wasn't that sort of, at the time, like a vocal head of design or a center point where you can actually go have that structure to be able to actually have these amazing teams that actually high performing teams delivering great work. The team were high performing, but I can see some people leaving. I can see some amazing talent. Maybe if you can just do a little bit of care here and there, it can actually help to retain them longer. There wasn't. From that perspective, the structure, we used to report to product managers in Revolut back then. There wasn't any clear structure to help at the time. Rightly so, in a way that helps the business to achieve, like whatever Nick at the time thought about, worked quite well for the goal that he wanted to achieve. But my goal, what I joined the Revolut for, has been achieved. And I wanted more, and I couldn't fulfill it. A few people I worked with moved actually to Deel, and then they approached me to say, look, this is a new company. Would you like to see it? I didn't know Deel at the time. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Like, let's just see it. So he showed me the product, and I could see the amazing potential. Like the difference here is like Revolut mentally, in the mental model, people use it as a cash card. So to move into that to bank, you need to have like a massive paradigm shift to do that. Where in Deel, people get paid in Deel. So the potential is limitless. Like there's nothing there, like unlimited to do what you can do. So I got super excited. Did the interview and joined. I left Revolut with a mission to build one of the best design team. Now, here's the caveat. When I did the interview, Alex was like, but Mohammed, we're not planning to grow. We might go to IPO with 100 people. So as a small company. So we didn't have, I'll be honest with you, back then, that sort of dream to be where we are today. Very much the goal was, can we build the best platform? Can we build the best product? Can we remove all of that sort of learning, at least from my perspective, that I learned in Revolut? Can we remove the friction globally this time to be able to actually have this amazing product that function globally? So I joined, and there was one designer, amazing guy, who was actually the first hire. But when I saw the entire product at the time, how things being managed, there is no design system, there's no processes, there's nothing commercially can scale from a design perspective. So we worked hard together as a company. It was about 40 people at the time. And we managed to successfully deliver this great product of contractor product. So businesses can hire freelancers or contractors and pay them. But then 6 months down the line, we start entering the EUR model, which where truly the company start to flourish. Like, it flew really big. So we went from a unicorn of $1.25 billion company to 5 in a Series D. I remember $5.5 billion company in a 1 year since I joined. So that's just massive growth very quickly. So during that time, I remember they said, Mohammed, here's a budget. Let's just hire the team. Let's get more designers. And that's where the challenge starts, because who knows Deel and who will join you, and the budget you will have, you wouldn't be something staggering big. So you'll be like, you will have to look at it from perspective of where do I go in the market, because I can hire anyone in the world using our own product. So I started to actually be wearing the hat of salesman, selling the dream. So I served over this is not an exaggeration, 200,000 plus manually pitching, talking, selling the dream to find amazing people that we can hire. And we did, and I wouldn't trade any of them of gold. Like amazing, fantastic, hard-working individual who achieved and grow, and still some of them still with us, almost 4 years plus in Deel. So fast forward in time, from that, the company has grew. It used to be at the beginning, can I hire and pay someone? And then we entered the different segment of the market, which is the HR product. So can I hire, pay, and manage my team? And that was amazing. So the thing about Deel is like, you put your mission, and it doesn't just become a mission that you look up to in the far away. It's very much a mission applied within a few months, very quickly. So hire, pay, and manage, it became quickly a practice that applied within the product, that we can actually see some tangible value that comes back for our customers, but as well as for the business. So as we continue growing into the market, Deel mission very much changes from how I pay, manage, all the way to how can we help business to grow. Can I get a talent from, let's just say, I'm a business, let's just say my budget is X million or billions. Where do I start? Where do I take it from there? Can we get that level of insight to be able to drive businesses to grow? Can I be a startup of or founders of 4 or 5 people all the way to an enterprise of, let's just 30, 40,000 company? And if any in between, Deel will still be your one-stop shop. So the team grew from one designer and then all the way to 23, I remember 25, and then it jumped very quickly from that to 50 plus, and then all the way to like almost now we 90 plus designers as we speak. So that within 5 years period of time that I have been in Deel.
Deel has a value called deal speed.
Yes.
You talked a lot about the on speed in Revolut.
Yes.
What's the difference in speed? Everyone say that they want to be fast. Everyone is fast. Every company is fast. Why? What's different about Deel?
The different here is, I think they're both fast companies, fast hyper growth companies, and both have like amazing people that actually lead in the company.
I can say another thing about the other value of Deel, which is caring about customers.
Obsessively, yeah.
Obsessively. How every company has that. What's the difference, do you think, between how Deel approaches it and everyone else?
From my own perspective, I think our executive or C-suite level, they're very close to the customers. So that cascade down really beautifully well to the overall company. I haven't seen that in Revolut. Like I've seen them sometimes here and there, they will do it, but not to the level where I have seen how close, for example, Alex is to the customer. It's another level, which is really, really great to see. Like, he'll reach out and say, oh, customer X said this about the product. Here's the quick video. So I'll take it with the team and go and triage it and understand the pain point, make sure it's not just one customer, but make sure there's a good data to understand it's scalable and so on.
What do you feel is different? You've managed one designer and now the team is 90. What's the difference? How does it scale? Because like I know a lot of people, people that are managers that manage maybe like 2-3 people, then later 10 people, etc. How does the perception and how does the different things that you need to do, rituals as a team, etc., changes when you grow from 10 to 20 to 50 to almost 100?
It does. I've learned as being in a small team, let's just say from 1 to 10, everything goes through you. And then you make sure that to approve the quality is great, so everything is good. But then as you start to scale, you become the bottleneck that blocks people because you can't review every single thing with the speed. So you start to manage to create that level of captains that helps and speaks the language you do. So I spoke to different, like to be honest, that's not something I have invented or brought in here, but I spoke to different design leaders and you learn from each other. It's no longer a team. It's now as an organization. So how can we get to the level where we can move with the speed, but without having so many managers that actually slows down? So Deel managers also roll their sleeves and design when it's required to. And you can actually move at that level and just bring the quality forward as you do. Deel on average grows about 20 to 30, maybe more per year. And as an individual working, depending, like despite the level you're in, how much are you growing as an individual professional in your space? So we're always trying to make sure to encourage designers to have that space for them to be able to practice certain things to grow. So there's a time for practice, but there's also time for performance. And that's been the momentum, and it's been growing really well. One thing you'll find is documentation has been one of the challenging things to solve. Because as we continue growing from 1 or 5, 10 product teams all the way to 100 plus product teams, how do you get this consistency in one place? How do you use this component versus this use case? So documentation has been quite a challenge. So if you go with detailed documentation, it goes dated very quickly. And if you go with high level, of course, you'll be inconsistent as you go and work with the team. So we found the best practice here is to be involved as managers, as lead, as directors, to be involved, to be able to drive that level of alignment and connecting the dots between these teams as you go.
Obviously at Revolut and both at Deel, you worked very, very close with the founders because you were there from almost day one, essentially. And they obviously realized that they needed a designer. They want to hire someone who makes design, who improves things. But how were you able to make it indispensable for the C-suite? Maybe the CEO knew that it is valuable. Maybe other people didn't understand. Maybe the CTO, COO. How did you make sure that people really understand the value of design? And as people like to say, it has a seat at the table. It actually matters.
It depends, and it varies also about who you're dealing with and who the stakeholders are. They are different people. But the framework I looked at, or the way I functioned back then, and I still do it, is I always try to understand two things. What is the capital financials? Like, where are they investing? Two is, what is the capital political? Like, where the teams are distributed. Are they centralized, decentralized? Based on these two, how does the decision is made? So that come up with three things I've done. One is making the not visible things visible, like the design, make them visible. So that means, can I go in channels? Can I present? Can I talk? Can I be there on the moment when it needs it to be? The second thing was the speed. Like, who's the decision making? If it is Alex, if it is Nick back in Revolut, if we have the power to autonomously make that decision, fantastic. So if that's the key, okay, fantastic. If not, how can I remove that friction to be closer to the decision making so I can move faster? The third thing is, what is the thing that makes that CEO doesn't sleep at night? Do you understand it? If yes, how can you solve it? And getting into that level very quickly, it will quickly make you have a seat in the table to actually make value, impactful value in the company from a business and a customer point of view.
I had this conversation with Alex today where I told him, hey, I want to show you some designs, whatever. I want the team to present to you next week. And he was like, why not now? Send it over. And I was like, well, because I need to cook it a little bit more and I want the team to present it to you. But that shows you this drive, this speed, this like, why do it later? Let's do it now.
Indeed. Like, one thing to say, I thought the speed in Deel, maybe it's just like Revolut back then, like when I left Revolut and then joined Deel. But truly it's different. It's unheard of. A lot of people will say the most surprising thing upon joining Deel is the speed. We developed it as a skill. I am mid-level designer and I'm looking at this high complex project. It took me about a week, right? So if I can deliver this within 3 days instead of the week, so your value as an individual is also growing. It's coming with it. So the key is, like I always say to designers, measure yourself. If it's going to take you 4 days, next time make sure it's realistically 3.5 to 3. And then until you reach that level of point, high level of complexity or whatever the complexity level, it will take me this percentage of time or this figure of time. And that's fine, because that's the capacity you have. Fantastic. And that's the speed you've got. Amazing. So we know how to work with the velocity we've got moving forward.
So you're interviewing people. There's a bunch of stuff that you're asking them that helps you try to understand if they can work in Deel speed, if they are fast. When you are training people internally, when you are examining externally, what do you look for that tells you if they can work fast?
I think it's the desire to achieve. If I want to be the best I can be, you'll find the entire, like the universe around them will actually be catered around them to achieve that. Do they have that drive to be able to be self-autonomous, being able to actually drive that level of time management is a very, very important factor to have. Are you good with it? Because people will say, I join like a company with startup mentality, maybe I might not have life or work-life balance will not be as great for me. But I believe it's a choice that we made. So it's no longer the work-life balance, it's the choices we make to make the balance we have within our lives. Because our job as managers is not to make that decision for you. It's very much to help you as an individual, enable you, empower you, provide for you so you can actually have that space to be the best you can be. So if you've got that sort of desire, I believe you can make the time for it.
And humans are not machines, right?
Absolutely.
And machines, if I'm in a car and I press the pedal really hard, I'm going to get to speed. But at some point, I'm going to get to like a certain speed and that's it. Like, no matter how hard I hit the pedal, I cannot go faster. But humans are different, right? Like we have muscles, we remember stuff over time, we get better over time. The car doesn't get faster over time. And we have internal feelings that we can channel, that not everyone can channel, that not always you can channel, that gets you to there. And I remember you talked to me a couple of days ago about this, when you had computers, old computers, and you used to hack the BIOS to make sure that the computer would
Gosh.
go way faster, but then it overheated, and then you brought a fan, and then the fan cooled it, etc., etc. So you brought to make the machine faster, you brought other machines to help the machine become faster, etc., etc. How do people talk about burnout and things along those lines. How do we make sure that doesn't happen?
If it's not watched and if it's not reviewed or actually get into the space, it can easily lead to burnout and you can easily lose an amazing talent from your team. So I think the key here is like myself, the leaders, including yourself and others, will be working in a way to watch that space. So, for example, if my designer worked, let's just say, I know there is a pressure in this team, this designer worked extra. So make sure to say, maybe take Friday off, have Monday off. So at least you can have this long weekend where they can recharge to be able to actually sustain that level of growth. But at the same time, that's one of method. The others will be like, okay, can you achieve this? We'll be like, yes, but the time scale will not help me. Like the time given or the expectation of that time is not within my remit. I need more time. So what we do here is like we ask for other designers to come and contribute and work together. So the key in Deel is like collaboration, helping each other, being able to share the knowledge so others can actually not spend time to figure it out. So it's already researched. Here's the data. Leverage that more very quickly. Use conventions. So the point being is the faster you deliver, the better you will have knowledge and the upper hand you'll have against your competition. They need to know, and I'm sure they do in Deel, is they're not alone. They've got an amazing organization of design that help each other to be able to drive and be the best they can.
A car can get heated if I press the pedal really hard, but I'm in neutral. So I'm actually not going anywhere. But, the engine is going, etc., etc. In preparation for going, I'm not an expert on burnout, but I feel like there are positive reasons why you are overheating and like negative reasons. But I think that at Deel it happens from the good reasons. It happens because you actually are going in speed. You actually are able to achieve and do stuff, and you want to do more. And it's like playing a game. You get carried away as a part of it, and that's why it's important to not go through this alone. But at least you're achieving, whereas I know that some people used to burn out in other places because, they're working, but they don't see the outcome of the thing that they're working on, and that is extremely frustrating. And now we have this usual dissonance of speed and quality, right?
Oh, good one.
I mean, there is no design podcast conversation that doesn't go into design versus quality. How do we get there, etc. What's the Deel formula?
So the point being here is depending on the size of the organization you're dealing with, but yet the risk you're willing to take, that's the factor for that. So mixed with that, the maturity of the company. So an example is if I want to learn piano for the first time, I'm completely newbie, first time sat down, I learn where the keys are, so I'll be looking down and figuring out where's the C, D, where's the sharp, etc. Where versus someone who's already knowing the keys and they don't need to look where and they just press, versus someone who's actually can read the music sheet and notes, being able to apply them in practice, versus someone who can be in a stage and play music and make the audience actually emotionally connected to the work they do. So all these stages are very different depending on the practice they do and how good they are getting time by time. So there's a course of time that it takes to be able to be the best in it. But how can we cater and deliver this value in each stage to be able to actually achieve something our customers happy with? So we actually remove that pain in the market, and two, businesses delivering that goal that they need to have.
When you work that fast, furiously shipping features all the time, when do you have time to work on vision?
The important part is, which I encourage designers to do, I always do, is make time for yourself, working time, to sit down and go, here's my Friday 2 hours. Nothing distract me. I'm just thinking, how can I make this better? Like, what am I missing? Like what sort of angle I need to look at it from perspective. Come out of the box, be that creative of yourself, break things and see it from different angles. There's no blockers. A lot of people, like new joiners, for example, in Deel, they'll join and be like, oh, I don't want to change the design system. And I tell them, break it, change something. Like make, because we can afford to make the risk now. And I believe as the company continue to grow and become bigger and stronger, that risk become bigger. So your limitation of your creativity limitation gets smaller. Some designers are like farmers. Mind my analogy here, but very much they're not great with blank canvas. They're just great optimization. So give me a problem, give me some space. What do you need to solve? I can just chop it down and make it the best. But there are ones, if you give them that limitation, they can't actually function. They need that sort of wild, free, blank canvas. They can just do it. So for us as managers to be able to distinguish these two, and there's the hybrid, by the way, also. How can we place them in the right place, the right complexity with the right level to be able to actually achieve? I tell them one thing, like in order for anyone to achieve, including myself and anyone else, something they've never done before, they need to do something different. And that requires time. So therefore, time management is a key to be successful and great at what you do, and have that level of creativity to do it as well.
Can you give me an example of when someone took some time apart, thought, brought a vision that everyone got excited about and rallied behind?
Yes. Recently, we have a fantastic initiative led by two amazing designers, Alexander and Laura. They worked on the onboarding. So the onboarding was quite like as Deel grew. Like we used to be like this small company, small product. A customer will join, and then what will happen is just they put the initial information, what do we need of them to be able to function in the product, and then they kick it, activated, ready to use. It was simple and easy to use. But then it got to product where now we have multi-products. We've got different channels. So, for example, someone who's SMB, someone who's as a segmentation of business, or someone coming in as a large to medium segment or an enterprise, they're very, very different. So how do we tackle that? There was a massive gap from that perspective. So we worked with the team. We defined the strategy. We've shared it to all stakeholders to get their input. And then within 1 week, I just gave them the strategy of what and why we're doing it and how do we measure it. Within 1 week, they both worked on the design to actually elevate it to the next level and brought this amazing design that we currently have, which feeds into not just self-serve, but also managed serve, all the way to the level where it helps our sales team, operation team, onboarding team, and the customer by themselves to be onboarded as they go. But that started from onboarding is not working. Like we're scaling and it's broken. There's a big gap. There's a massive opportunity here. So we sat together and we start thinking. And then we define the strategy, got it aligned with these stakeholders, and then the rest as I have described it.
That's 1 week. That sounds crazy. What were they able to achieve in 1 week?
Funny enough, if you start to get into the zone somehow, I genuinely believe this, you actually achieve more than you could expect. And as a manager, can I have the team can actually get into the zone without being interrupted and just get this amazing work. So that's what I've done for them. That we just cleared the space. Took 1 week to get the first draft, to get the alignment. Another roughly 2 weeks to actually get the first delivered into a code, and then the team just took it from there, and now we have it live in different segments, and then it just continued to grow. But the initiative started, I would say, roughly 3-4 months ago.
Any other projects that you think that you're really, really proud of? You know, it's been 5 years at Deel. Any project that you feel that was against all odds but delivered an amazing result that is lasting until today?
The one that I take close to me is very much building the organization. That's just something I'm very, very proud of. The team, seeing someone growing from a mid-level designer all the way to be a successful manager, like I'm really, really proud to see that. Payroll used to be, still in many companies actually, it's very difficult to do. It's got delta time of weeks. 1 week to get something. If I adjust something, it takes another few days to actually get the correction, and it goes into the process is just highly complex and highly customizable to the level of entities, countries, policies. Like the customization globally is very, very difficult to do. So we've designed a fantastic timeline to simplify what you can see of the time of the payroll. So if I submitted my payroll, it goes to approval, it goes to multiple stages, and you can see these things synced with your calendar to give you that visibility of, are you going to be late on your payday, or are you going to be on time? Everything's clearly visible to you as we do, and that's something I'm really proud of. And we're actually currently working on a new way to simplify it even further. So that's just one example I feel I'm very proud of.
The design team and the team at Deal generally is completely international. You have people everywhere just in the design team, about 35 countries. How do we deal with this thing culturally? How do you create a culture of success that celebrates everyone's individuality, and also how do you instill the Deal values into that group of people that is obviously, we're talking about 35 countries just for the designers. If you add the engineers and the product people and sales and marketing, etc., you cover almost every country in the world.
Culture we built in terms of like giving feedback, working together, collaboration, sharing knowledge, all of these things like helps the team to feel like you're not alone. You've got a fantastic team that works with you to share the best knowledge so you can actually achieve the best you can.
There's a lot of young designers that are going to hopefully watch this thing. What advice would you give them?
Don't be afraid to break things. So if you join Deel, don't wait to learn the domain. Deel is very complex. It will take you almost forever to learn everything because we always introduce a new product, new services, and so on. So use your best practice and knowledge and apply. And if you make mistakes, that's your learning curve. Yes, you can break design system and change it. Of course, with the data, with the justification that you have in order to solve a problem. Each component must solve a problem. And if the current component doesn't solve any problem for you, that's absolutely fine. How can you evolve it? If there's no way to do that, also fine, create a new one and take it from there. But you've got to work closely with the design system team to be able to help you and leverage that. And the third advice, you've got to be great at time management to be able to be successful.
Who is Deal not for?
If you want to achieve, if you want to make a mark, if you can work with chaos to make a mark and create that level of collaboration that helps you to achieve a fantastic value of work that you're going to be proud of, this is a place for you.
You have different companies over time have looked and measured the different levels of maturity of design organizations in companies. What do you think is the maturity of the design organization right now in Deal?
I was not mature because we have grown so fast. More than half of designers in the organization is actually new, less than a year. So the key here is like the speed of growing impacted the maturity. So therefore, it takes time. And how do we keep it? How do we improve the maturity of it? It just takes time, but we make sure that the alignment, the standards, what makes quality design quality, sharing all of these sort of knowledge and practices and having these ritual with the team, teach them the domain, get that lot of, like someone with a tenure in Deal, have learned all of these domains can actually autonomously operate faster than someone actually being here for 1 month or something and so on. So from a company point of view, AI is amazingly embraced. We have our AI workforce, which is already live. Customers can hire an agent to be able to help them do manual tasks in the product. Things like I need to collect some information through logging into different websites. It can gather these things, fill it for you, give you a summary. You can adjust it and put it on. Other things we have also helping our operation team. There is lots of AI manual tasks they need to do. So we save so many hours for them to be able to actually achieve the response to our customers in a shorter period of time. From the operation side of the design, we also try a new ways of way working. So we have the ability we're starting to try this. It hasn't been fully rolled out yet, but what we're trying to do is, can a designer work as an AI empowered designer with the engineers to deliver and iterate and explore new ideas fast, and then be able to share them with stakeholders for alignment, to be able to book a call with a customer to do a user testing with the new designs they have done.